In just 58 minutes, she destroyed the world number one. Not in a practice game, not in a fantasy, but on Indian Wells, the world's largest hardcourt arena. And no one anticipated it. This is the tale of Alexandra Eala, a 20-year-old Filipino girl who entered the arena known as the Fifth Grand Slam, confronted the world's most feared player, and not only defeated her but also destroyed her. Point after point, game by game, until the spectators were seeing something completely different. Something that only occurs once in a generation, instead of tennis. With each new chapter, this narrative gets better, so stick with us. You have to go back to where it all began in order to comprehend what transpired at Indian Wells in March 2026. And it didn't begin in the scorching desert sun of California on a WTA 1000 hardcourt. Manila was where it all began. It began in the Rafa Nadal Academy's junior rooms in Mallorca, Spain, where a modest, determined Filipina girl from an athletic family was learning how to transform her untapped gift into something that could rock the women's tennis world. For those who know her, Alexandra Eala, also known as Alex, started 2025 rated 143rd in the world. Not in the news, not in discussions regarding the game's future. On a vast list of promising names, she was one. Analysts recognize this type of player but don't really believe in them. Not quite yet. Here's what they overlooked, though. Eala wasn't only growing, she was also creating, absorbing, and analyzing every set, every defeat, and every instance in which the game revealed a weakness. One by one, she was silently and methodically eliminating those vulnerabilities. She had the technical foundation of a player who belonged in elite company, having been trained by Jean Bosch and honed over years at the Rafa Nadal Academy. The time to prove it was what she needed. In March 2025, the moment occurred in Miami. Because the WTA wanted to see what she could do, she entered as a wild card, a player ranked outside of the top 130, and was given a golden ticket to fight against the best in the world. Even now, it seems nearly difficult to explain what she accomplished without sounding like fantasy. Yelena Ostapenko was defeated by her. Then she defeated the current U.S. Open champion, Madison Keys. She then onto the court against Iga Swiatek, who was ranked second in the world at the moment, and defeated her in straight sets. This is when the tennis world stopped what it was doing and paid attention. Tidy, self-assured, and in charge. She defeated 3 major champions in straight sets at a single WTA event, making history as the first wildcard to do so. Take a moment to consider that. The first in the WTA Tour's whole history. She didn't end there. Another first for the Philippines. She advanced to the WTA 1000 event semifinals. She became the first Filipino player to ever rank in the WTA's top 100 by March 31st. In Guadalajara, she won her first WTA 125 championship. She became the first Filipino player to win a Grand Slam singles match during the Open era, making history in the U.S. Open. She began 2025 ranked 143rd in the world and finished 50th. In response to a question on what 2025 meant to her, Eala wrote on Instagram, "My dreams have really come true. Looking back on this year and reliving these incredible occasions through recollection is such a joy. This season's events and feelings are a love letter to my family, friends, team, all of the people who have supported me throughout my tennis journey, and of course, baby Alex." This girl had already accomplished the seemingly impossible. Before Indian Wells 2026, the question was straightforward and terrifying. Would she be able to do it again? Are you curious in what sets Indian Wells apart from the other WTA events? The prize money isn't the only factor. It's not simply the well-kept blue courts and the arid scenery. It's the ambience. It feels like a grand slam at Indian Wells. Like one, it breathes. The world's top players arrive with a point to prove, the fans are huge, and the pressure is unrelenting. And the name at the top of the draw for that tournament in 2026 was precisely who you would expect. Sabalenka Aryna. Top spot in the world. The Belarusian powerhouse has defeated every major champion of her period at some point because to her thunderclap-like serve and baseline game. At Indian Wells, she was the reigning finalist. She had just finished a strong effort at the Australian Open. She knew she was the unquestioned queen of women's tennis when she arrived in the California desert. Enter allnow.a. She was going to Indian Wells for the first time in her career, ranked 32nd in the world after making it to the quarterfinals of the Dubai Tennis Championships. She deserved to be seeded. A few weeks prior, she had defeated Jasmine Paolini, the 8th-ranked player in the world, in Dubai. She possessed the self-assurance, drive, and insatiable appetite of someone who has experienced the biggest stages and yearned for more. However, there is a problem with Indian Wells. Your story doesn't matter to the draw. Your hunger is irrelevant to the draw. You are paired with whoever the draw chooses. And there was a chance that Eala and Sabalenka may face off in the 4th round when the Indian Wells draw was made public. The analysts dismissed it with laughter. The bookmakers hardly looked at it again. The favorite was Sabalenka. The favorite was always Sabalenka. Before the competition, an analyst warned that Alex Eala might be a risky floater. She went 4-4 against the top 20 and 2-2 against the top 10 since she doesn't rely on her serve. There is a ceiling. Is the ceiling real? The understatement of the entire tennis year turned out to be those 3 words, that silent admission tucked away in an analytical column that most people ignored. Because no one truly anticipated what was about to happen on that court, not even the most ardent members of the Filipino diaspora who had been following Eala's every move. The audience could hardly comprehend what they were witnessing in real time because it was so swift, so tidy, and so brutally effective. Something that would be discussed for many years. It was evident from the first game that Eala was unique from the moment the contest started beneath the California afternoon sky. Something almost unsettling in its serenity, neither tense nor agitated. She purposefully moved to the baseline. With an angle and depth that instantly upset the world number one's rhythm, she returned Sabalenka's opening serves, those vicious, hefty offerings that have broken so many opponents in the past. As usual, Sabalenka attempted to intimidate her way into the contest. Large serve, strong forehand, push the opponent back, and make an error. Everyone had been harmed by it. In 2026, it was working against everyone. Today it wasn't functioning. Eala was intervening rather than withdrawing. Before Sabalenka could reset, she was taking in the power, rerouting it, and assaulting the open court. She had the patience to balance offense with lengthy exchanges because of her aggressive style, athletic footwork, and rally endurance. This afternoon, that balance was perfect. Before the audience could get comfortable in their seats, the first set ended, 6-2, Eala. The stadium's atmosphere instantly changed. The murmur that spreads over a crowd upon realizing they are seeing something amazing. That murmur began in one of the top sections and moved like a wave down toward the court. The second set then started. Eala didn't slow down either. She wasn't hanging on. In the hopes that Sabalenka would give in to her own pressure, she wasn't being cautious. She was giving orders. She was forcing her style on the top player in the world. The thousands of Filipino supporters inside the stadium, who had gathered around Eala in Dubai and Manila and transformed every tournament she entered into something that felt like a homecoming, were on their feet when the final point was scored, and the clock read 58 minutes. Every return was a statement. Every passing shot was a declaration. 6-2, 6-1, the stadium exploded as the game ended before it seemed to have really begun. It was a full, standing, roaring eruption from thousands of people who had just witnessed a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines walk onto the largest hard court outside of a Grand Slam and destroy the world number one like she had done it 100 times before. It was neither courteous applause nor a respectful golf clap for an upset. Eala lifted her arms. She briefly lost her composure as she gazed up at the sky. Nor in sorrow, nor in fear, but in sheer, overpowering, unbelievable ecstasy. Social media erupted in a matter of minutes, not only in the Philippines, where the response was swift, widespread, and almost volcanic, but worldwide as well. Tennis enthusiasts who had been watching Eala's ascent since Miami 2025 experienced a sense of validation. Her ceiling, which analysts had described as real but limited, was suddenly being questioned. Clips of the match's highlights were being posted and reposted by former champions. The hashtags appeared right away. Even before the post-match press conference began, Alex Eala was trending in more than a dozen nations. Filipino sports journalists were filing stories as quickly as their keyboards would let them after staying up all night to watch the game. Within the first hour, the word historic appeared in literally hundreds of headlines, but it went beyond the festivities, the flags, the cacophony, and the unadulterated happiness of a country witnessing one of its own accomplish an unthinkable feat. Since this was a statement match rather than merely a good day for Eala, there was also a deeper discourse taking place. The kind of performance that alters perspective rather than just winning a round. It completely reframes the debate over who should and shouldn't be at the top of the sport. Because this is what the numbers indicated before to the game. In the past 12 months, Sabalenka had only dropped a few games. In recent memory, she has defeated every significant competitor at least once. Her forehand produced more power than nearly any other female player on tour, and her serve frequently reached speeds of over 180 kilometers per hour. She was expected to coast against a player on her first Indian Wells tournament who was ranked outside of the top 30. Rather, a girl who had begun the year ranked 143rd in the world defeated her in less than an hour. 12 months later, the girl had not only maintained up but surpassed. Eala also stated something straightforward and deep during the post-match news conference while maintaining the calm, collected demeanor that has come to define her. I have faith in myself. For a very long period, I had faith in myself. All I wanted was for everyone to see it. That quiet, unwavering conviction, those words? That was not the response of a fortunate girl. That was the response of a future champion. In order to discuss what this performance truly symbolizes in the greater context of women's tennis, we must now pull back from the cacophony, the joy, and the viral videos. Tennis players have been discussing the next generation and who might someday threaten Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Goff's dominance for years. Players who appeared to be the future but were eventually overtaken by the tour's grind emerged one after another. Careers that should have prospered have ended due to the weight of expectations alone. Tennis primarily rewards performance. It is not nice to potential. Since Miami 2025, Eala has been performing, and not just in flashes, on a steady, unwavering upward trajectory. She began 2025 ranked 147th and finished the season at a career-high world number 50, making her the highest-ranked Filipino tennis player in history. Over the course of 27 competitions, she won almost $1 million in prize money. At the U.S. Open, Wimbledon, and the French Open, she created history. Each and every Grand Slam main draw was a first. Every single one was viewed as an opportunity rather than a privilege. Crucially, she has defeated players who were ranked higher than her not once, not twice, but repeatedly. This is what distinguishes competent players from great ones. Swiatek, Paulini, Ostapenko, Keys, and now Sabalenka. These are patterns, not flukes. Following impressive performances in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Manila, Eala achieved a career-high ranking of world number 32, demonstrating that her momentum is growing rather than slowing down. Now think about this. She is 20 years old. It's her first time competing at Indian Wells. She has not yet advanced to a quarter-final of the Grand Slam. She hasn't yet successfully defended a significant title. In the most technical definition of the word, she remains a rising player. The final version of Eala is not the one who defeated Sabalenka in 58 minutes. The first chapter is this one. And that isn't bluster, mindless nationalism, or an emotional outburst from a nation in dire need of a champion. The data, the trend, and the proof of what this young woman has already done are all read coldly and honestly in that way. Eala herself stated, "The obvious answer, which has always kind of been my answer, was to win slams and to be world number one," in an exclusive interview about 2026. Those, in my opinion, are kind of everyone's dream, and I consider myself to be fairly ambitious. She spoke it bluntly, without pretense or hesitancy. She is certain of her destination. How quickly she arrives is the one unanswered question. 58 minutes. It only required that. Not 10 years, not a lifetime of waiting. Alexandra Eala altered both the history of women's tennis and the history of a whole country in just 58 minutes on a blue hard court in the California desert. She was ranked 32nd in the world. With poise, accuracy, and the quiet certainty of someone who always knew this day was coming, even when no one else did, she defeated the world's greatest player and walked out. We leave you with this question. If she can defeat the world number one in her first Indian Wells tournament at the age of 20,